Is climate change a problem?
Climate change is an issue. There's no question it's an issue. But we have to put that in the context of making sure that people can afford to live in British Columbia, that people can afford to raise a family here, that they can build a future here.
Is climate change human-caused?
There's no question that human is having an impact on it. There's no question in terms of that. And so
Okay, because that is antithetical to what you had boosted back in 2020. You are moderating your position then.
No, I haven't changed my position at all. You can go back and look at the clips from back then. I've said exactly the same thing. The issue here is that people are struggling, and we need a government that's going to focus on trying to make sure that they can have a good quality of life here in British Columbia.
Okay, so you're saying now you believe climate change has been caused by human activity, yes?
I'm saying that humans have contributed to climate change, yes.
Okay, is it at a crisis level?
It is not at a crisis level. There are many more things that I think are far more important. When people can't put food on the table, that's a big issue. And as a province, quite frankly, we should be concerned about that. When people can hardly afford to be able to pay their rent, when they can't have a dream of being able to ever own a home, when they're looking at leaving this province, those are big issues.
What about the cost of fighting fires, fighting wildfires? BC's provincial budget has expended money toward fighting wildfires. That is a critical issue. It's repeating and getting worse. Of course, last year was the worst that BC has seen. People are evacuated from their communities. You've lost communities like Lytton. Is that not a crisis?
It certainly is a big issue, and it does need to be addressed. And I don't think government is doing a good job in terms of fighting fires. But we have a premier today that believes that taxing people into poverty is going to change the weather. And I'm sorry, that is not right.
What would be your solutions for climate change?
So what we need to be thinking about, like I say, is being able to make sure all of our decisions are about how we improve lives. One of the things that I've came out with in terms of our policy is we only procure 34% of the food we consume from BC. 2/3 of our food comes from outside of our borders. That leaves our people vulnerable. We need to be looking at it, especially from a perspective of our changing climate. How do we make sure we look after our own people in BC? How do we look at doubling agriculture production? How do we make sure we manage water much better? How do we make sure that our infrastructure is more resilient so that it's not going to be affected by so many issues that we have with climate? And so those are the types of things that we need to be able to do in British Columbia to make sure people can have a future here in this province.